shirt you are.
Why, you
don't mind that, do you, Mr. Cabinet Member? Somebody else put over a deal.
You mean to tell me that you've been putting it over on me with some other man?
Yes, and what are you gonna do?
Good day. My name is Professor Guy Gadbois, medieval castle authority from Marseille. Tell me.
Number 10, Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers is a renowned actor and comedian best known for his work in the Pink Panther series. English filmmakers like the Bolting brothers often described Sellers as the greatest comedic genius the country had ever produced since Charlie Chaplin. But of course, there is more to this renowned actor than already meets the eye. We mean there are just one too many accounts that have described him as difficult or problematic. Together, it has over time contributed to his negative reputation. So what are these factors? What awful things could he possibly have done to earn himself a spot on this list? For one, Sellers had tumultuous personal relationships. His marriages often ended in acrimony, and he was known for being demanding and difficult to live with. His relationship with actress Britt Ekland, for example, was marked by jealousy and controlling behavior. Unfortunately, his professional behavior wasn't any better. On set, Sellers tended to be unpredictable and challenging to work with. He had a reputation for being temperamental, sometimes refusing to come out of his trailer or being excessively demanding. This behavior strained his relationships with directors, producers, and co-stars. Sadly, there were psychological issues too. Sellers struggled with mental health issues, including bouts of severe depression and possibly bipolar disorder. These issues likely influenced his erratic and sometimes hostile behavior, although they do not excuse it. Sellers was said to converse with his deceased mother and even carried her shrine wherever he went on set. Even the director of the Pink Panther series, Blake Edwards, found it challenging to collaborate with him. Being the creative force director, Edwards struggled to put up with Sellers' erratic behavior. Sellers' unpredictable mood swings and deep-seated insecurities clashed with Edwards' methodical approach. As you can imagine, this was a recipe for disaster. There were periods when they went without speaking, and when communication was necessary, they passed their messages through their assistants. Thankfully, this turmoil behind the scenes had nothing on the success of the series. Despite their tumultuous relationship, their collaborations produced box office hits, including 5 Pink Panther films. Interestingly, there are a number of books and documentaries about Sellers' life. One of such is The Life and Death of Peter Sellers by Roger Lewis. There's also an HBO film adaptation of it. Each one did not fail to highlight these negative aspects of his personality. So just like that, these accounts had a hand in shaping the public's perception of him as a troubled and sometimes malevolent individual. If anything, we believe the complexity of his character reflects the multifaceted nature of many individuals who, despite their flaws, make significant contributions to their fields.
A soap opera. I may cry. Tune in tomorrow. What a swell party this is. What frails, what frocks, what...
Number 9, Bing Crosby. This American singer and actor led a highly influential career that spanned over 5 decades. This is no easy feat. Bing Crosby was just that good. In 1942, Crosby's rendition of Irving Berlin's White Christmas became one of the best-selling singles of all time. He had a signature style, too. He was known for his smooth baritone voice and pioneering use of the microphone to create a more intimate singing style. Crosby was also a major star of radio. He hosted the Kraft Music Hall show from 1936 to 1946, and later his own Philco radio time show. His career in film was just as good. Crosby won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Father Chuck O'Malley in the 1944 film Going My Way. Crosby also starred in a popular series of comedy films with Bob Hope and Dorothy Lamour, beginning with Road to Singapore in 1940, and then going on to subsequent titles like Road to Morocco in 1942 and Road to Utopia in 1946. In his spare time, he was quite a passionate golfer. Bet you didn't know he founded the Bing Crosby National Pro-Am, a popular golf tournament today known as the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. As you can see, Bing Crosby left an enduring legacy in American pop culture. At first glance, Bing Crosby appeared to embody all the charm and charisma. However, behind the curtain, some aspects of his personal life paint a different picture. One particular reason for the notion that he was a difficult man is his family dynamic. Remember, Bing Crosby led a hectic life, juggling movies, radio shows, and music commitments. But if the claims by his family are to be believed, then this put a strain on their family. One of the most significant sources of negative information about Bing Crosby came from his son, Gary Crosby, who wrote a memoir titled Going My Own Way in 1983. In this book, Gary detailed allegations of physical and emotional abuse by his father, painting a picture of Crosby as a harsh and strict disciplinarian. These claims received widespread media attention and significantly impacted Crosby's public image. His son, Gary Crosby, once disclosed how Crosby was seldom present during their upbringing. He was also bent on shielding them from the allure of Hollywood, which ultimately strained their bond. Some family members have since corroborated aspects of Gary's stories, while others have defended Crosby, suggesting that his parenting style was strict but not abusive by the standards of the time. Notably, the perception of what constitutes abusive behavior has evolved over time. Crosby's strict discipline methods, while perhaps not uncommon in his era, are viewed more critically in the context of modern standards of parenting and child welfare. So for a man widely known for his smooth, relaxing singing style and charming screen presence, all this presented a stark and troubling contrast. Is it really surprising that it has led to the belief among some that he was evil or significantly flawed in his personal conduct?
As far as I'm concerned.
Number 8. Milton Burl. Milton Burl was an iconic comedian and actor whose career spanned over 8 decades. At the peak of his television career, he captivated millions with his sharp wit and undeniable charm. His weekly television program was so influential that businesses would halt operations to ensure their clientele didn't miss a single episode. In fact, this program was a cultural phenomenon. In fact, he was so popular that there would typically be decreased movie ticket sales during the times of his broadcast. It was also common for big establishments to wind up early during his broadcast to ensure that their patrons wouldn't miss a moment of his broadcasts. While he was a legendary figure in early television, Milton Burl garnered a reputation for being difficult and, in some cases, even evil. This reputation was a result of the various aspects of his behavior and professional conduct. The first unlikable thing about Burl was his supposed arrogance and sense of self-importance. Burl was often described as having an outsized ego. His self-importance and arrogance alienated him from many of his colleagues and peers in the entertainment industry. Which brings us to the second negative. Burl was said to be difficult to work with. If he was so proud and arrogant, then naturally he would have given people around him a hard time. Burl's infamous hosting of Saturday Night Live in 1979 is a prime example. His refusal to follow directions, constant ad-libbing, and over-the-top antics frustrated the cast and crew. Lorne Michaels, the show's creator, reportedly regretted inviting him to host due to his behavior. Burl was also known for mugging for the camera, constantly trying to steal the spotlight. This behavior was particularly disruptive in ensemble casts, where collaborative performance was crucial. To top this off, he had a reputation for micromanaging productions, which often led to tensions with directors and fellow actors. Multiple accounts from those who worked with him often described Burl as aggressive and bullying. His forceful personality was said to be intimidating and unpleasant, leading to strained relationships on set. There was also the problem of offensive jokes. Burl's humor sometimes crossed the line. When he wasn't incorporating racial or ethnic stereotypes in his words, they would just be downright insensitive. This aspect of his comedy did not age well, and also contributed to his negative perception of himself. He was also known for his body and sometimes crude behavior offstage. The mere fact that it clashed with the more refined image expected of public figures was another factor that continued to work against him. Then there were all those professional rivalries and constant clashing with fellow comedians. Burl had a number of professional rivalries and feuds with other comedians and entertainers. You can see how these conflicts further painted him as combative and uncooperative. Lastly, there were just one too many accusations that Burl was stealing his jokes from other comedians, particularly the lesser-known ones. This, of course, is a serious offense in the comedy world that tarnished his reputation among his peers. Over the years, numerous stories and anecdotes about Burl's negative behavior have circulated around the media. This over-sensationalization no doubt contributed to his evil reputation.
What are you tailing me for? Cat got your tongue? Come on out.
Number 7. Orson Wells. Orson Wells, the acclaimed actor and director, a cinematic visionary renowned for groundbreaking films like Citizen Kane. Considering he got a spot then, you already know his story has a dark side. First, we will go over the business of his long-lost tapes. Wells was known for his candid and often harsh opinions about other actors and filmmakers. The release of private recordings where he disparaged peers like Laurence Olivier, Spencer Tracy, Charlie Chaplin, Bette Davis, and James Stewart contributed to the perception of him as an arrogant person, at best, who loved to dismiss the talent of others. They really tied in nicely with the already established speculation that he was a difficult person. Wells had a reputation for being difficult to work with. His perfectionism, combined with a tendency to clash with studio executives and collaborators, made him a controversial figure in Hollywood. This often uncompromising nature led to strained professional relationships. Then at some point, he became something of a maverick filmmaker. Wells preferred to work outside the traditional studio system. This surely led to financial and production challenges for him. But his determination to maintain artistic control painted a picture of a rebellious and sometimes obstinate personality. Coming down to his personal life and relationships, it wasn't any better. His personal life was marked by tumultuous relationships and a degree of instability. His marriages and affairs were often the subject of public scrutiny, contributing to a less than flattering image. Speaking on his image, Wells was known to be outspoken. He never missed an opportunity to make controversial statements about the film industry and his contemporaries. His bluntness and refusal to conform to Hollywood norms sometimes alienated him from both fans and industry professionals. Interestingly, several books, documentaries, and interviews released after his death have highlighted the more controversial aspects of his personality and career. Although these revelations have contributed to a more complex and at times negative view of Wells.
You had a very nice time.
I'm gonna take old Polly Benedict to the party and I'm gonna dump her. I'm gonna turn her over to Ben Davis or one of them Lottie-Dahs that light girls. Then I'm coming home and I'm going to bed. That's what
Number 6. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney was one of Hollywood's longest-serving actors, spanning nearly 9 decades. His career was no doubt filled with highs and lows. While he is widely remembered for his talent and contributions to film, certain aspects of his personal life and behavior have earned him a spot on this list. Rooney's personal life was marked by multiple marriages and divorces. He was married 8 times, and the turbulence of these relationships often played out in the public eye. His relationships were also marked by allegations of infidelity and mistreatment. Then came the financial troubles. Rooney experienced significant financial difficulties later in life, including a highly publicized elder abuse case. He accused his stepson and others of financial exploitation. Unfortunately, this only sheds more light on the darker aspects of his personal and family life. Throughout his career, Rooney faced various scandals, including accusations of domestic violence. There have been accounts of Rooney being difficult to work with on set as well. Stories of his temper and demanding nature have circulated among those who worked with him, contributing to a perception of him as problematic. These incidents were often sensationalized by the media, so you can see how this tarnished his reputation further. You could also blame this negative perception on a couple of stereotypical roles he played. Rooney's portrayal of Mr. Yunioshi in Breakfast at Tiffany's has been widely criticized as a racially insensitive and stereotypical depiction of a Japanese character. This role, for which Rooney later expressed regret, has been a significant blemish on his legacy. Biographies, interviews, and documentaries about Rooney's life have often highlighted these negative aspects and reinforced the perception of him as a troubled and sometimes malevolent figure.
$.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right, I broke the law.
Number 5. Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda is widely celebrated for his long and distinguished career in Hollywood. For most of his remarkable career spanning 5 decades, he was one of Hollywood's most respected and enduring figures. Fonda began his career on stage, debuting in the 1929 play titled The Game of Life and Death. Then came The Grapes of Wrath, his breakthrough film in 1940. Fonda's portrayal of Tom Joad in the film earned him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. By doing so, it solidified his status as a leading actor in Hollywood. Taking a break from the acting scene, Fonda enlisted in the U.S. Navy during World War II. He served as a quartermaster in the 3rd class and later as a lieutenant junior grader. When the war was done, you can imagine that his commitment to serving his country was highly respected. This respect and admiration opened him up to more success. His post-war projects include Mr. Roberts in 1955, The Wrong Man in 1956, and 12 Angry Men in 1957. He also had his time on television. Fonda appeared in several television productions, including the series The Deputy from 1959 to 1961, as well as TV movies like Clarence Darrow in 1974. Slowly but surely, he demonstrated himself as a versatile actor. As you can imagine, the awards and honors rolled in. Fonda received the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award, recognizing his contributions to the film industry. And what's a distinguished actor without a Golden Globe? Fonda won multiple Golden Globe Awards throughout his career, including one for his performance in On Golden Pond. So it goes without saying that Henry Fonda's career was marked by a wide range of performances that showcased his versatility, depth, and commitment to his craft. But while his legacy endures through many of these iconic roles, some aspects of his personal life have led to negative perceptions among certain people. One reason people particularly remember Fonda in a bad light is his strained family relationships. Fonda had complex and often strained relationships with his children, Jane and Peter Fonda. Over the years, some interpreted this to be a sign of a less compassionate nature. He was also married 5 times, each one having its own challenges. Actress and activist Jane Fonda often spoke about her father's emotional distance and lack of involvement in her upbringing. In her memoirs, she described him as cold and detached, further explaining how it was something that caused her a significant amount of pain. Fonda's approach to parenting and personal relationships has been characterized as rigid and authoritarian. You can see how this kind of behavior can be perceived as harsh or even evil by those who value emotional warmth and flexibility. And it's not just his daughter. A number of people he has worked with have also fueled the notion that he had a stoic and distant personality, both in his personal and professional life. This perceived coldness might contribute to a negative image, especially when contrasted with the warm and approachable personas of other Hollywood stars.
We have retired you from the board of directors.
You drove Al Steele to his grave, and now you're trying to stab me in the back? Forget it!
Number 4, Faye Dunaway. You might remember the critically acclaimed actress Faye Dunaway from her classic roles in films such as Bonnie and Clyde and Network. While she was a big star back in the day, she has since garnered a reputation for being difficult to work with. Some would even say evil. Wondering what could have contributed to this negative perception? Let's begin with her professional conduct. Dunaway has a long history of being described as demanding and challenging on set. Numerous co-stars, directors, and crew members have recounted difficult experiences working with her. The most common words cited were her perfectionism, temper, and erratic behavior. There have also been several well-publicized incidents that have contributed to her negative image. A good instance to consider would be her behavior during the production of Mommy Dearest in 1981. There, she portrayed Joan Crawford, a performance that was legendary for its intensity and difficulty. While she delivered her role perfectly, she became a hot topic for throwing tantrums and making extreme demands while on set. Generally, the film Mommy Dearest has particularly affected her reputation. The portrayal of Crawford as a monstrous figure, combined with reports of Dunaway's intense method of acting approach, has led to a lasting association with that negative character. Dunaway has also been involved in several public feuds with fellow actors and industry professionals. Her conflicts with directors like Roman Polanski and co-stars have added to her reputation as difficult and contentious. Media coverage has been massive too, each time focusing on her demanding nature and professional disputes. Sensational stories and tabloid reports have amplified these perceptions, further cementing her image as difficult. Some of Dunaway's most iconic roles have involved playing complex, often ruthless characters. These roles, while showcasing her talent, have also contributed to the public perception of her as embodying some of those same qualities in real life. If you made it this far, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from us.
Here you are.
Why,
You don't like that, do you, Mr. Cabinet Member? Somebody else put over a deal.
You mean to tell me that you've been putting it over on me with some other man?
Yes, and what are you gonna do?
Number 3, Wallace Berry. Wallace Berry was a versatile and prolific actor whose career spanned silent films, talkies, and the golden age of Hollywood. In the silent film era, he took up memorable roles in films like The Lost World in 1925, as well as The Sea Hawk in 1924. Making a successful transition to sound, he starred in the 1930 dramatic film Min and Bill. All this set the tone for a successful career in Hollywood. Berry was a major star at MGM, one of the biggest studios at the time, which helped elevate his career and provided him with numerous prominent roles. From the Grand Hotel in 1932 to Dinner at 8 in 1933 and Treasure Island in 1934, Berry no doubt showcased his versatility as an actor. His last film role was in the 1949 adventure film titled Big Jack. Even now, his ability to play a wide range of characters, from villains to lovable rogues, made him one of the most recognizable and enduring actors of his time. But of course, all of this influence and legacy could not cover up the negative perception people had over the years. Wallace Berry has been perceived negatively by many due to various accounts of his behavior both on and off the set. First are the allegations of physical aggression. A much younger actor, Mickey Rooney, was the first of many young actors to complain that they were physically mistreated by Berry. Naturally, these incidents of physical aggression tarnished his reputation and painted a picture of a violent individual behind the scenes. It wasn't just the actors. Quite a number of crew members reported that Berry's off-screen behavior was harsh and unkind. It really isn't hard to imagine how his treatment of fellow performers, particularly those who were younger and more vulnerable, contributed to his negative image. At the very least, he was viewed as a man with a conflicting public and private persona. The contrast between Berry's public persona as a warm-hearted, everyman figure and his private behavior created a sense of betrayal and deception. As fans and colleagues found it difficult to reconcile the two, it led to a perception of hypocrisy and malevolence. There was also the incident with Gloria Swanson. Berry's early interactions with actress Gloria Swanson highlighted the unsettling power dynamics in Hollywood. Swanson was only 17 when she got married to a 30-year-old Berry sometime in 1916. Swanson was a rising star in silent films, but Berry was already an established actor. Their significant age difference and Swanson's occasional look of discomfort gave many the impression that something was not right. Many already believed that Berry's influence and behavior were intimidating and coercive, only for more sinister truths to be revealed in a later biography. According to Swanson, Berry had raped her on their wedding night. She also recounted how she became pregnant shortly after the incident, only to suffer a miscarriage due to his mistreatment and rough behavior.
You act as if you want to get killed.
Maybe I do.
Number 2. Kirk Douglas. Another legendary Hollywood actor to make this list is Kirk Douglas. While he is often remembered for his remarkable career and charismatic performances, several factors have contributed to a negative perception of him over the years. Perhaps most notable of all is the allegations of sexual assault. There have been a long-standing allegation that Kirk Douglas sexually assaulted actress Natalie Wood when she was a teenager. This allegation resurfaced in 2021 with the publication of Natalie Wood's sister. Lana Wood's memoir cast a shadow over Douglas's legacy despite the allegations never being proven in a court of law. But before this, Douglas had always had a reputation for being a demanding and sometimes difficult person to work with. He was known for his intense personality and strong-willed nature, which sometimes led to clashes with directors, producers, and co-stars. Now, Douglas's drive and ambition were legendary, and while these traits contributed to his success, they also painted him as someone who could be ruthless in his pursuit of career goals. Stories of his competitiveness and willingness to go to great lengths to secure roles or control film projects have contributed to this perception. Like many Hollywood stars of his era, Douglas's life was under constant scrutiny by the media. Public and tabloid interest in his personal life, including his affairs and family issues, sometimes portrayed him in a negative light.
Isn't worth a plug nickel as long as Surratt stays out of jail. You're the key to our case, and he knows it. We can't go to trial for 2 weeks. Your life's going to be in danger every minute of that time, even in this house.
Number 1. Errol Flynn. Maybe it was the unconventional upbringing, or maybe it was the fact that he was raised amidst the wildlife of kangaroos and Tasmanian devils. Whatever it was, Errol Flynn had an adventurous spirit that was no doubt ignited from an early age. Before making it big in Hollywood, Flynn tried his hands on a number of things. As the story goes, he even tried various pearl diving aspects and diamond smuggling. Thankfully, he would eventually make his way to Hollywood. He was at the Stratford-upon-Avon Festival when Warner Brothers recognized his potential and quickly recruited him. By 1933, film executive Joel Schwartz spotted Flynn's magnetism and cast him as Fletcher Christian in the film titled In the Wake of the Bounty. From this point on, his career took off. All of through the 1930s and 40s, Errol Flynn solidified his position as a leading man on screen. However, he had his reputation marred by various controversies and behaviors that have led some to view him negatively or as evil. We can begin in the year 1942. That year, Flynn faced allegations of assault from a couple of young women. With a story like that, you already know that it would ignite a media firestorm that would tarnish his reputation. As the story goes, Flynn was accused of statutory rape by 2 underage girls. The end result was a highly publicized trial. To be fair, he was ultimately acquitted, but by then the scandal had severely damaged his reputation and left a lasting stain on his public image. Flynn was also known for his hard-partying lifestyle, from heavy drinking to drug use and womanizing. Whoever invented the term party hard must have been describing Flynn. His reckless behavior and numerous affairs further contributed to his image as a morally dubious character. Now let's move on to the revelations in his autobiography. Flynn's own My Wicked, Wicked Ways was published posthumously in 1959. It painted a picture of a man who lived a life on the edge and engaged in numerous questionable activities. We will tell you now that the book is filled with so many tales of debauchery and misconduct that it only reinforced his bad boy image. Flynn was also used to making controversial statements. He made statements during his life that were seen as controversial and insensitive. For example, he was accused of being sympathetic to Nazi Germany just because of the kind of comments he made. Subsequent biographies and films about Flynn's life have highlighted his darker side. Take the book Errol Flynn, The Untold Story by Charles Hingham. Considering the fact that it focuses on his alleged misdeeds, it also contributed to the perception of him as a flawed, even malevolent figure. While Errol Flynn remains a beloved figure for his iconic roles and charismatic screen presence, these aspects of his life have contributed to a more complicated and at times negative view of him as a person. So what do you think? Do share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. You also can't miss the next video on your screen.